What if the boy you once saved from starvation returned as a billionaire, ready to turn your forgotten village into a paradise, but only after uncovering a secret debt that binds you all forever? Dive into the heart-pounding return that shatters expectations and ignites hope. In the dusty heart of rural Kenya, where the sun baked the earth into cracked red clay, and the acacia trees whispered secrets to the wind, a convoy of sleek black SUVs sliced through the narrow dirt paths like arrows from a forgotten dream. The villagers of Kwamaji paused in their daily toil, women balancing water pots on their heads, men herding scrawny goats, children chasing after makeshift balls fashioned from rags and twine. Whispers rippled through the air like the first drops of a long-awaited rain. "Who could this be?" murmured Mama Aisha, her wrinkled hands shielding her eyes from the glare. "No one comes here with such machines." The lead vehicle, a gleaming Mercedes with tinted windows that reflected the villagers' wide-eyed stares, came to a halt in the center of the village square, right beside the ancient baobab tree that had stood sentinel for generations. Dust settled like a veil, and for a moment silence gripped the air. Then the door opened, and out stepped a man in a tailored suit that screamed of worlds beyond their humble existence. His shoes, polished to a mirror shine, crunched against the gravel as if announcing a revolution. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with a face chiseled by time and triumph, but his eyes, those deep brown eyes, held a flicker of something familiar, something that tugged at the edges of memory. The villagers gathered in a hesitant semicircle, their faces a mosaic of curiosity, suspicion, and faint recognition. "It can't be," gasped Elder Kibbet, his voice trembling like the leaves in a storm. "Kofi, little Kofi who left us years ago." The man smiled, a warm, genuine curve of his lips that bridged the chasm between past and present. "Yes, it is I, Kofi Mwangi. I've come home." Gasps erupted like fireworks in the quiet afternoon. Kofi Mwangi, the boy who had vanished into the city lights 2 decades ago, rumored to have forsaken his roots for the allure of wealth and power. They had whispered about him around evening fires, painting him as the one who got away, the traitor who never looked back. But here he was, not just returned, but transformed into a self-made billionaire, his name synonymous with tech empires and philanthropic empires across Africa. The shock was palpable. Old women clutched their shawls tighter, young men exchanged uneasy glances, and children peeked from behind their mothers' skirts. Why now? What did he want? Kofi raised his hands, palms outward in a gesture of peace. "My family, my people," he began, his voice rich and resonant, carrying the cadence of their shared Swahili roots mixed with the polish of boardrooms. "I know what you've thought of me all these years, that I abandoned you, forgot the soil that birthed me. But today I stand before you not as a stranger, but as a son returning to honor a debt long overdue." Murmurs swelled. "Debt? What debt?" The villagers exchanged puzzled looks, their minds racing back through the annals of time. Kofi scanned the crowd, his gaze lingering on faces he hadn't seen since boyhood. There was Baba Juma, the blacksmith whose hammer had once rung out like a heartbeat for the village. Mama Njeri, the healer whose herbs had mended more wounds than any doctor could. And there in the back, leaning on a cane carved from ebony, was Elder Kibbet, the man who had been like a grandfather to him. Kofi's heart swelled with emotion, but he held it in check. This was no mere visit, this was a mission, forged in the fires of gratitude. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the square, Kofi began to unravel the threads of his story. "Let me take you back," he said, his voice dropping to a storyteller's timbre. "To a time when I was not Kofi the billionaire, but Kofi the orphan, barefoot and hungry, scavenging for scraps in these very streets." The villagers leaned in, the air thick with anticipation. It was the dry season of 1995, a year when the rains had betrayed them, turning fields into barren wastelands and rivers into trickles of mud. Kofi's parents had perished in a tragic accident on the treacherous roads to Nairobi, leaving him at 8 years old to fend for himself in a world that showed no mercy to the weak. He remembered the gnawing hunger that clawed at his belly, the nights spent curled under the baobab tree, shivering against the cold winds. The village, though struggling itself, had not turned a blind eye. It started small, a bowl of ugali from Mama Aisha, slipped to him quietly after dark. Then Baba Juma fashioned him a pair of sandals from old tire rubber, rough but sturdy, to protect his blistered feet. Elder Kibbet taught him to read by the flickering light of a kerosene lamp, sharing stories of great African kings to ignite a spark in his young mind. But the true act of kindness, the one that had saved his life and set him on his path, came during the famine's cruelest grip. Kofi paused, his eyes misting over. The villagers held their breath, some nodding as fragments of memory resurfaced. It was the night of the great storm, when lightning cracked the sky and thunder roared like angry gods. Kofi, delirious from hunger and fever, had collapsed outside the village granary, too weak to beg. The elders had gathered, debating in hushed tones. Food was scarce, every grain counted. Yet they chose mercy. They pooled their meager reserves, a handful of maize from each household, and fed him, nursed him back to health. "You gave me life when death whispered my name," Kofi continued, his voice cracking. "Without that kindness there would be no Kofi Mwangi today." Tears glistened on weathered cheeks as recognition dawned. "We did what any family would," Elder Kibbet replied, his voice frail but firm. "You were one of us." Kofi nodded, stepping forward to embrace the old man, the hug bridging years of absence. The reunion sparked a cascade of emotions. Old friends clasped hands, mothers wiped away tears, and even the skeptical youth softened their stances. But Kofi wasn't done. As dusk painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, he unveiled the first surprise. From the SUVs emerged crates upon crates of supplies, bags of rice, maize flour, seeds for drought-resistant crops, and medical kits stocked with essentials. "This is just the beginning," he announced. "Tomorrow we build." The village erupted in cheers, but beneath the joy lingered questions. What more did he plan? How would he transform their lives? As night fell and fires crackled, stories flowed like rivers, tales of Kofi's journey from street vendor in Nairobi to tech mogul, founding an app that revolutionized mobile banking across the continent. Yet he credited it all to them, to the village's unspoken bond. The chapter of return had begun, but the true revelations awaited in the dawn. The morning sun rose over Kwamaji like a promise reborn, bathing the village in golden light that danced off the dew-kissed leaves. Kofi Mwangi stood at the edge of the square, surveying the bustle that had already begun. Villagers, energized by the previous day's revelations, moved with purpose, unloading more supplies from the convoy, children laughing as they distributed fresh fruits from crates marked with his company's logo. But Kofi knew this was merely the prelude. His mission ran deeper, a tapestry woven from gratitude and ambition. As coffee brewed over open fires, he gathered the elders under the baobab tree. "Today," he declared, "we honor the past by shaping the future." Elder Kibbet, his eyes bright with renewed vigor, nodded approvingly. "What do you propose, my son?" Kofi's plan unfolded like a map to treasure. A solar-powered water system to banish the endless treks for water, a school equipped with computers and books to educate the next generation, and microloans for villagers to start businesses, turning subsistence into prosperity. Gasps of awe filled the air. Mama Njeri clasped her hands. "This is a miracle." But not all were convinced. In the shadows lurked doubts, voiced by young Tomas, a fiery spirit who had grown up hearing tales of Kofi's abandonment. "Why now?" he challenged. "After all these years of silence," Kofi met his gaze steadily. "Because success without roots is hollow, and because of what you all did for me." He delved deeper into the past, revealing layers the villagers had forgotten. During his recovery from that fateful famine night, it wasn't just food they gave, it was hope. Mama Aisha had sewn him clothes from scraps, whispering encouragement, "Rise, little one, and touch the stars." Baba Juma had apprenticed him in the forge, teaching resilience, bend but never break. And the entire village had shielded him from outsiders who sought to take orphans to distant cities as cheap labor. "You fought for me," Kofi said, voice thick. "Now I fight for you." Emotional reunions cascaded like waterfalls. Kofi embraced Mama Aisha, who wept openly, her frail form trembling. "I thought you'd forgot," she whispered. "Never," he replied. Baba Juma, his once strong hands now gnarled, pounded Kofi's back. "You've made us proud." Yet as the day progressed, a hidden tension emerged. Whispers circulated about a long-buried secret, During Kofi's youth, a jealous rival had spread rumors that led to his hasty departure, claiming he stole from the granary. Tomas, unknowingly the rival's grandson, confronted Kofi. "Is it true? Did you betray us first?" Kofi sighed, revealing the truth. The rival had framed him to hoard food, but the village's faith had exonerated him silently. This revelation healed old rifts, drawing Tomas into the fold. With barriers crumbling, Kofi unveiled life-changing surprises: scholarships for every child, a clinic with doctors on rotation, and a community center for gatherings. "This is your legacy," he proclaimed. As construction crews arrived, hired from neighboring towns but employing locals, the village transformed. Wells were dug, panels installed, dreams ignited. In the evening, around a feast of roasted goat and ugali, stories flowed, laughter echoed, and Kofi shared his global adventures, inspiring the youth. But the climax came at sunset. Kofi announced a foundation in the village's name, funding sustainable projects continent-wide. "Because kindness ripples," he said. Tears flowed freely, bonds reforged unbreakable. As stars twinkled, Kofi reflected. From barefoot child to billionaire, it was their gift that propelled him. The village, once forgotten, now shone as a beacon. If this inspiring tale of redemption and gratitude moved you, hit that subscribe button on our channel for more heart-stirring stories that celebrate African resilience and human kindness. Don't miss out on the next epic journey.